The headlines from ITN. Blair prepares to delay elections. Crush at Muslim shrine kills 30 in Pakistan. And David Coulthard wins the action-packed Brazilian Grand Prix. Welcome back. Tony Blair is putting the final touches to his plans to delay next month's elections because of foot-and-mouth epidemic. The local elections are now expected to be on June the 7th, and the general election is likely to be on the same date. Eleanor Goodman reports. Football and Charlton have won their premiership match against Leicester at the Valley. It finished 2-0 to the Addicts, who scored in each half. They took the lead around the half-hour mark after Klaas Jensen's corner eventually finished in the back of the net via the crossbar and Andy Todd's head. Blackburn moved into second place in Division 1 after thumping neighbours Burnley 5-0 at Ewood Park today. Craig Hignett put the finishing touches to a great performance for Rovers with the 5th goal. There were two other games in the First Division. Wolves dented Birmingham's hopes of automatic promotion by beating them 1-0 at St Andrews, and United won the Sheffield derby against Wednesday 2-1 at Hillsborough. Celtic have taken another step towards the Scottish Premier League title. They've beaten Aberdeen 1-0 at Pittodrie and are now just 2 more victories away from clinching the championship. Earlier, Hibs missed the chance to put pressure on second-place Rangers by losing 2-0 at St Johnstone. This year's Rugby League Challenge Cup final will be between St Helens and Bradford Bulls after the Bulls' 39-22 victory over Warrington in today's semi-final. Michael Carr saw the action. Now a look at what the weather has in store with Bob Cruz.
The satellite shows broken cloud across the UK, bringing showers to the far northwest, particularly across the western Isles of Scotland. Southwesterly winds have made it mild for most parts, and it's felt quite warm when the sun's broken through. It'll be a cloudy night for Scotland with outbreaks of rain, more persistent in the west and through the Western Isles. The temperatures will stay up, but it'll be breezy. A dry night across northern England with some clear spells and broken cloud. There's the possibility of some mist and fog forming through the night. Over to Ireland, where there's a lot of low cloud. Conditions are quite misty and murky with outbreaks of patchy light rain tonight. Wales and the Midlands will have a dry night with some clear spells and broken cloud. Winds will be light with the possibility of some mist and fog forming. Mostly dry in the West Country with some clear spells, but there may be some patchy drizzle in places. Mist and fog will form later. A similar picture in the southeast, where it'll be clear and dry. As the night goes on, patches of mist and fog are likely to develop. A mild night across the country, with lows ranging between 5 and 9 Celsius. It'll be coolest in the north of Scotland, mildest towards the southwest. Temperatures tomorrow will range between 9 Celsius in some central parts of Scotland to a milder 16 or maybe 17 Celsius in parts of southeast England and East Anglia. Monday will see a band of rain pushing eastwards across the UK, some of this rain heavy at times, but becoming brighter in the west later. Tuesday, mostly dry and bright in the east with showers across the west. Showers or longer spells of rain in the south on Wednesday, but drier and brighter on Thursday with just some scattered showers.
Coming up, I'll be here with more of the day's news, including countdown to polling day, the latest on Tony Blair's decision to delay May's elections.
For all the latest scores and sports news, watch for up-to-the-minute reports twice every hour. The ITN News Channel.
This is the ITN News Channel.
Blair prepares to delay local elections. Milosevic behind bars accused of abuse of power. And Palace attacks Sophie newspaper reports. Good morning. Tony Blair is putting the final touches to his plans to delay next month's elections because of the foot-and-mouth epidemic. The local elections are now expected to be on June the 7th, and the general election is likely to be on the same date. Here's John Draper.
The Prime Minister looked relaxed at Downing Street this afternoon, the big decision on postponing the election having already been taken. Not just it was being stressed because of the practicalities of campaigning in rural areas, but in response to public opinion. The Tories, though, weren't convinced.
Well, I think it's high time that the Prime Minister stopped dithering. I mean, he's fiddling while the countryside burns. He should be fully engaged on the foot and mouth, instead of which he's messing about, worrying about an election that doesn't have to take place for a year.
I think the country probably has the impression that William Hague would like all elections delayed until we've overcome the crisis in the Tory party, but I'm afraid we haven't got a few years to spare. So the Prime Minister has done what was absolutely correct. He has directed his attention towards foot and mouth disease.
Those close to Mr Blair say he's been personally affected by what he's seen of the cull of animals and the impact on farmers. But some think that having put off the general election once, he can't reschedule it until the epidemic's been beaten.
The government's bowed to the inevitable as public opinion has swung strongly against the idea of a May general election. But before Mr Blair goes to the country, he'll have to be able to satisfy the public that the government's on top of the foot and mouth crisis.
The formal announcement will be made to the Commons later this week. Special legislation will be introduced to postpone the council elections from May to June the 7th. The general election needn't even be mentioned, but in practice that will become the date for both the local and the parliamentary elections. The Prime Minister's country retreat Chequers was where the fine detail was hammered out, with the threat of foot and mouth never far away. John Draper, ITN.
The arrested Yugoslav president Slobodan Milosevic has pleaded not guilty to charges of criminal conspiracy and abuse of power. He was finally seized by armed police yesterday, despite saying he would never be taken alive. Julian Mannion reports from Belgrade.
Behind a tight police cordon, officials negotiated with Milosevic for most of the night. At one point, the ex-president threatened to shoot himself and his family. But just before dawn, a convoy of vehicles took the man who ruled Yugoslavia for 13 years to prison. Shortly before the end, Milosevic's 36-year-old daughter, Maria, apparently became excited and fired several pistol shots in the air. But government officials say that no force was used. The ex-president was taken to Belgrade's central prison. There he will be held and questioned, while investigators prepare an array of charges, including corruption to the tune of $100 million and abuse of power. Milosevic can be held for up to 6 months before any trial for those offences. But Western governments will want to know whether he'll be going from here to the War Crimes Tribunal in The Hague. The Serbian Justice Minister Vladan Batic says that during the negotiations with Milosevic, the ex-president was told that there was no immediate prospect of his extradition. The Yugoslav president, Vojislav Koštunica, says that Milosevic can only be extradited to The Hague following a lengthy process of changing the constitution.